Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Nomsa Mshongo. Yes, Mshongo. Yes, that's what I am. I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel once again. I also just want to take the time to say thank you so much to each and every person that has subscribed so far. I truly appreciate the feedback that you guys gave me on my previous post about conviction. I really thoroughly enjoy reading how much the topic has, made everyone that has commented reach epiphanies and realizations about themselves, and just an encouragement about how important conviction is. And so, you know what, thank you, and I appreciate everything that you have to say. Continue liking, continue sharing, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, without any waste of time, I actually want to go into today's topic, which is self-efficacy. So now this is a topic I thoroughly enjoy. Just to give you a little bit of background as to why I love this topic specifically. So I remember I was in second year sitting in a social psychology class, if I'm not mistaken. If it's not behavioral psychology, I remember I was a long time ago. And when we first got there, we had a new lecturer. And he asked us, the first question he asked us when we got there was, do you believe that you will pass this module, or if you'll ever complete your degree? And everybody was quite intrigued about this question. We were like, yeah, sure, yes. Some were like, no, this module is very difficult. Obviously those were the ones that had failed the module previously. And to my surprise, this lecturer specifically said, whatever answer you have given me, you are absolutely correct. If you believe that you cannot pass this module, you're right. But if you believe that you can, you're also right. If you believe that you can achieve whatever you can achieve, you're right. If you believe that you can't, you're also right. What's my point exactly? My point is, what is self-efficacy? So a bit of background into self-efficacy. Of course, I'm not an expert about the topic. There's actually psychologists that have went and studied further for this and actually focus on self-efficacy as a theory, and they've even made thorough research about the topic. But it was founded by Albert Bandura, which in a nutshell, just paraphrasing, what the theory is about is it talks about the ability, the belief in oneself's ability to achieve whatever you think you can achieve. So you believe in your abilities to achieve a task at hand. It's about belief. So believing that I've got the capacity, I've got what it takes to complete whatever task at hand. This is not something that comes naturally for everyone, like literally. It's not easy for every one of us to believe that I can achieve whatever I set my mind out to achieve. So self-efficacy comes from, backgrounds, childhood backgrounds. How were you raised? What are some of the things that you were taught to believe about yourself that will actually make you to believe that you can achieve whatever you set out your mind to achieve? I think that's what separates most of us, the winners to, sorry for lack of a better word, from the losers, because winners actually have a high self-efficacy. So self-efficacy doesn't mean you look at a situation, you think, oh, this is easy. No, sometimes people that win are not the ones that think situations are easy. You actually look at a situation sometimes and you feel like this is too difficult. Well, I'm not sure whether I can do this, but I am confident and sure and I have belief in the fact that I've got the capacity to achieve whatever that this task requires of me. Whereas on the other hand, a loser's mindset would say, oh no, this is difficult and I don't even think I've got the capacity to achieve this. And that's the difference. To say people that believe in themselves actually don't believe in themselves as a person, they believe in their capacity to achieve. So my question to you today and my challenge to you is, when you look at situations, regardless of how difficult the situations may be, what self-efficacy do you have regarding situations. So whether it is fighting a sickness, whether it is starting a business, whether it is, encouraging yourself about completing your studies, whether it is starting that weight loss journey, whether it is going into a marriage, new relationship, what is your self-efficacy? At which level do you believe in your capacity to achieve whatever you set your mind to achieving? How much belief do you have in yourself? And if you don't have that belief, you have to start looking at what are the reasons why you don't have that belief in yourself. Like I said, childhood traumas. Sometimes we have been so traumatized during our childhood. We might have grown up in family backgrounds where we were never encouraged to say, go baby, you can do this, like how we raise a child. Sometimes as parents, we don't raise our children to believe in their capacities, their capabilities. We don't raise our children to believe that they are more than capable of achieving whatever dream that they would want. Take for example, when a child is playing with sand, and as a parent, you obviously are very cautious about, how your child plays, and, you obviously don't want your child to harm themselves when they're playing. But however, sometimes we were restricted growing up when it comes to our playing, because we weren't allowed to play with sand and actually get dirty and just lose ourselves in play and actually grow and develop in our playing. And because of that, our level of self-efficacy might have been hindered. And so it took us much longer as adults to believe in our capabilities, because immediately when you try to play with sand, your parent will be like, no, come back, you're going to dirty your clothes, who's gonna wash those clothes? You know what I mean? But forgetting that playing is a form of developmental stage that is so important for children in order for us to become adults that are fully developed, and we can, socialize, and we can dream as big as we want. For example, if a child grew up in a family where he was asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the child says, I want to be a scientist. This child believes that I've got the capability to be the scientist. But then others saying, oh, no, my baby, you can't be a scientist. No one in this family has ever been a scientist. It's going to be very hard for you to reach the dream. In our family, we're not that smart, I don't think you'd be able to be that scientist. Why? Why would you say that to a child? But those are the things that have contributed to later on in life us not being able to develop a self-efficacy that is strong enough to face situations that may look difficult, and we say, but I've got the capability to do this because of our childhood. And a lot of situations, I'm just taking childhood as an example, a lot of situations, even in our adolescence, even in our young adulthood, really contributes to us sometimes having a depreciated level of self-efficacy, so that topic is something that I can talk about all day, because I really, really would like to go deep into understanding what are some of the things that contribute to us becoming, fully developed when it comes to our self-efficacy. What are the things that contribute to us believing in our capabilities to achieving any task at hand? What separates the winners from the losers? What separates those that wake up every morning and actually reach for their dreams to those that feel like they cannot do it? What separates them? And it is that level of self-efficacy. All right, guys, so I just want to give you, examples of the difference between someone with a strong sense of self-efficacy and someone with a weak sense of self-efficacy. So I got these 3 points, from a website, but, they've written it so correctly. So the first one says, people with a strong sense of self-efficacy form a stronger sense of commitment to their interests and activities. So these people with strong sense of self-efficacy, whatever they do, whatever they put their mind to, they are committed to. So, you know, you never have to force them to be disciplined. They are automatically disciplined. They've got commitment. You never have to wake them up twice to do what they love. They do it automatically. They've got a high level of commitment to what they do. Those are people with a strong sense of self-efficacy. Another point is they recover quickly from setbacks. Another point is that people with a high or strong sense of self-efficacy view challenging problems as tasks to be mastered. So if something is challenging, it doesn't mean you should let it go and whatever, it's too challenging. No, you actually need to go back to it and try to master it, so that you can be someone who can say, I first didn't achieve this, but now I can master it. And that's the difference, is that there are people that look at something and they quickly give up when it's too difficult. And then there are those that say, shoot, it's difficult. Why is it difficult? Because it's difficult, I'm gonna give it my best and I'm gonna master it until I get it right. So, and now the people with a weak sense of self-efficacy, some of their attributes are, they believe that difficult tasks and situations are beyond their capabilities, which is what I just said. And they focus on personal failings and negative outcomes. You know, there's people that are always focusing on the negative, like regardless of what you may say, what you may do, they always see the negative side of a situation instead of seeing it as a positive, and how they can turn that into something positive. So that's what people with a weak sense of self-efficacy do. And they quickly lose confidence in personal abilities. So one situation can make them feel like, you know what, this is not me, and we've all been there. We've all been through situations that have really broke us to a point where we feel like, I don't want to try again. And it's not that people with strong self-efficacy don't feel the pain of failure. They do, and oftentimes maybe they might feel like giving up, but it's that willingness, that resilience to stand up again and try when you have failed. That's what separates people with a strong sense of self-efficacy from the ones with a weak sense of self-efficacy. And an example of this in my own personal life, I remember when I was studying, towards my BA in psychology, it was, I've always been, from childhood. Let me give you a picture of who I've been as a child until that stage. I've always been a little girl who was never afraid of anything. I remember the first time I was 5 years old, literally 5 years old, I went on a stage and on an auditorium at church, and I sang with a group of other girls and I was like so confident. I was there leading them, 5 years old. As a child, I've always been that little girl who went for my dreams. And I guess my experiences as I grew up all the way into adolescence and early adulthood really brought in a lot of fear inside me, where I started not having as much confidence as I used to be as a little child. So I went into my first year and I didn't do so well. I actually failed, like very, very badly. And because I failed, I started losing my confidence, not necessarily confidence, my belief in myself, the belief in that I will actually complete my studies. And it became very difficult for me to actually complete. Instead of completing it within 4 years, I completed it within 5 years. And it became so difficult because I was constantly in fear instead of being in constant belief in myself. And so experiences that we go through, the failures that we experience sometimes affect our self-efficacy and lowers that percentage of self-efficacy from 100% to maybe a 45%. And the moment I actually completed my studies, my self-efficacy came back again. I thought to myself, I can then further my studies. Let me study further, and because of that, I now believe in the fact that I can do whatever I want to do. I can do whatever I set my mind to do. I can achieve whatever I set my mind to achieve, because I've got proof that if you put your mind to it, you can achieve it. And every time I feel like I'm going to fail, I remember that I once won, and I remember why I started. So, sometimes our achievements, our wins, they motivate our self-efficacy in the moments where we doubt ourselves. So you see how delicate the self-efficacy thing is. We can't play with it. You constantly need to remind yourself, constantly need to be conscious of the things that bring your self-efficacy down. You have to be conscious of the situations you experience that make you doubt your belief in your capabilities in achieving a certain task. Once you can master that, you can quickly talk yourself back into saying, come on, I'm able to do this. I could do it once, I could do it twice, which means I could do it 2 times. Another example that I read when I was researching on self-efficacy talks about a woman who started a new job position. She didn't have the qualifications, she didn't have the work experience, but she took on this position, and she believed that if she could learn, if they could teach her what to do, she could actually achieve in this job. And years later, this woman became top employee. She became management in the company. Why? Because she believed in her capabilities to achieve whatever she set her mind to. So that's an example of self-efficacy, to say you might not have the experience, you might not have the qualifications sometimes, but if you have the belief in your capabilities, then you're able to achieve whatever you set your mind on and whatever you set your mind to. So that's basically the nutshell of what self-efficacy is. And obviously it's a much deeper topic that we can dwell into, to say what are the things that contribute to us acquiring a high level of self-efficacy, and how do we nurture our self-efficacy? How do we water it? How do we grow it? And how do we protect it? How do we make sure that we never lose our sense of self-efficacy, regardless of what we face in life? And I believe that, people who have a strong sense of conviction and faith, they reach goals, they reach, their goals, because they've got, someone, or, scriptures or motivation when they are losing it, or when they're facing difficult situations. They've got scriptures to remind them of who they are and what they can achieve. And this is why it's so important to have a strong sense of faith and belief, because when you're faced with situations that will challenge you, it is important to remember who and whose you are. So I'd like to hear from you. What do you think about this topic? Research about it. Research the word self-efficacy. Read on Albert Bandura. Read about psychologists that have, researched about this. And let's talk about it. Let's hear what you have to say. What do you think? What separates people? What separates the winners from the losers? How strong is your level of self-efficacy? How confident are you with the abilities to achieve certain tasks? And I'd love to bring in a clinical psychologist or educational psychologist actually to come in and actually talk about this topic, because I feel like there's a lot we need to touch on that I haven't even touched on, because I'm not an expert on the topic. So maybe let's hear what someone else has to say, and I will surely bring you nothing but the best content. I told you I got you. Now you know I got you. All right, cool guys, that was today's topic. and you know, it just had to correspond to the initial topic, because remember the initial topic was conviction, and I believe that you cannot be convicted and then not have a high level of self-efficacy, because as much as you're convicted, you need a driving force. You need something to drive you towards you achieving your goals. And self-efficacy, that confidence in yourself, that belief in your capabilities, is so important on this journey of life, to say, I got what it takes, so I'm going to do it. So, you know, that was just the sequence that we wanted to take, my husband and I, in terms of the topics that we bring forth to you. So please like, share, subscribe, whichever way you want to do it, and let's hear what you gotta say about the topic. That's it for me. Thank you so much. Goodbye.